Hi empaths, welcome to Heart Space Wellness Alliance. Here's my healing room. Let's get started. Hi empaths, welcome back to my healing space. We're going to get into another reading. I hope you're okay with the new schedule and that feels more manageable to you, right? Not giving you too much to process. And there's so many readings on this channel to tune into, right? That's why I made them timeless. The idea is if the title speaks to you, there might be information in there for you. So click on those readings with the title that is calling to you. That's why they're called timeless, right? Okay, let's see. Shout out to clients, people that are donating to the channel. Thank you so much. And people that are commenting, leaving feedback, letting me know how they're resonating, if there's special meaning for them in the reading, right, in the cards, and yeah, just letting me know how you're enjoying the new schedule and all of that stuff. That was really valuable to me. Thank you for liking and sharing the video with other people. That makes it worthwhile for me. So thank you. Let's clear the space with some Tibetan tingstas. I'm going to clear the space, the energy of the cards, our auras, invoking angels, guides, and compassionate ancestors, beings of the light who want to inform this reading for the most concise, resonant, helpful, valuable, informative reading that speaks to the listener and is priority for them to hear at the time of them viewing the video. One more. Good. Let's go to the original angel cards to see what's priority to look at this time. Humor. Humor. I love the British spelling. I wonder if these are British. Humor with the extra U. The angel's a little clown with balloons. Humor. You know, the most powerful way to transmute pain is to find a way to laugh, to find a way to make it funny. My friends and I have mastered this. Anytime the other is going through something, and you know, my closest friends and I have found that humor, if we can make the other laugh about something that's happening, it's the most powerful medicine. And are you able to see the humor in a situation that maybe is currently or has in the past created some pain, right? That's, you know, that's the fastest way to not only transcend the pain, but to transmute it into something valuable, usable, right? For my intention for these readings, it's really, can I take my own pain and the experiences and the wisdom I've gathered from going through such pain and trauma in my life? Can I transmute that into something valuable for the listener, for the viewer? You know, because then it feels worthwhile. It feels like there's purpose, that it wasn't a waste, right? It was just, it had no meaning. And some of the best comedians are simply transmuting pain, right? They found a way to take really painful experiences and help us look at them in a way that makes us laugh. Like, drama and comedy are not that far apart from each other. Okay, so let me look at some oracle cards here and see what we're laughing about. I put them all together. All the Doreen Virtue decks I have, except the Goddess Oracle. I don't really use those. Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh, this is so cute. Maybe one more. Okay. So we have the birthday card. I know one person whose birthday just passed. So shout out to you. You know who you are. We were just talking on the phone about your birthday. It's funny how there's balloons in this card too, and I noted the balloons. I think I noted the balloons on the humor card. So that's interesting. So a significant birthday holds the answer to your question about humor. And playtime is coming up. So the dolphins know the importance of playing, as joy creates miracles and manifestation. So, you know, are you celebrating a big birthday right now, or is it coming up, like a significant year? Do you have a loved one who has a birthday coming up? Would it be healing for them to feel celebrated, right? They may be a Libra or a Scorpio if it's coming up. Or just a celebration in general, right? Time to play, time to celebrate. Feeling like you're born again in some way. Like things are shifting. Feeling like things are shifting. Like coming out of a dark, dark time, and it's feeling like joy is a possibility again, that seeing the light is a possibility again. We have the card wait. Don't rush into action right now. Bide your time for better results. So, and then winter comes out. It might be a timing card here. That's why I said Scorpio. Winter, the answers to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. Scorpio and Sag come after Libra. So it might be an upcoming birthday for one of those signs, or even Capricorn's in the winter, I think, right after Sag. So the winter might be a timing card. It can also mean we're coming out of the winter seasons of the spiritual, right? This seasonal or the spiritual season of winter on our spiritual path, which can feel very dark, right? It's not a lot of signs of life. Going inside, feeling the need to reserve our resources, withdrawing into contemplation and internalizing things, and going inside and exploring internally, navigating in the dark. Sometimes it can feel like we've lost everything, right? We're not able to recognize our resources, or we don't feel a lot of gratitude. Might even be feeling abandoned. And clutching at straws for glimpses, for a little bit of hope. Life can feel that way sometimes. We all go through dark times, right? And we all come through those dark times. What is this time trying to tell you? Listen. It might be a time of listening, right? As we wait, in this time of waiting, this might be a time of collecting stories or jokes or songs, or writing out your feelings in a way that's humorous, creating some kind of art with this, even doing improvisation, even just to yourself as a way of healing this, as a way of transmuting some of this pain. Like, do you ever just take time to just talk to yourself and like say funny things and make yourself laugh and think, man, if someone was watching this, they'd either think I was crazy or a genius. I'm just so funny, make myself laugh. Sometimes that's the only way to get ourselves through hard times, isn't it? I've definitely done that. Looking for reasons to laugh. And then interestingly, the environmentalist card comes up. You're an earth angel who was born to protect, nurture, and teach about nature and the animals. So are you feeling this call, right? When the balloons cards came out, right? When there were balloons on these cards, were you like, did you feel a little tug? Like, they're not good for the environment. I actually have a Libra friend who would take extreme care when people would go outside. If we had some kind of party or someone was renting at this holistic center, we worked up together. It's funny, he's a Libra. So birthday, he would go outside and be like, don't release those balloons, right? Because he was so like in tune with nature and the environment and animals. And he's like, it's bad for animals and we can't have that. So that story came into my mind of him like running outside when these kids were going to release these balloons. He was like, no, you can't do that. He's very conscientious that way. So when you saw the balloons, did you have a reaction to that? And are you really, do you find that you're being called to take better care in that way? And maybe you have a message about that. Maybe humor is about delivering it in a way that's palatable and digestible for other people. If you have this big message about caring for animals and the environment, is there a way to do so that allows others to put down their defenses and resistance, right? Like a comedy routine. I mean, something like that, I don't know, or just a charming, humorous way to present the information. If you think about the things comedians get away with saying, it's incredible. And sometimes it's like sometimes we chalk it up and say, well, it's comedy, so as long as it makes us laugh. So can we do that with good intent, right? With good information we want to spread? Because dream big's coming up. Dream big. You're not wrong to dream big here. Let go of small thoughts about yourself. See yourself succeeding. Have you been having fears come up? Have you been susceptible to the imposter syndrome, right? This has been coming up for me too. Whereas I'll get feedback, and at first I'll take it as I perceive was intended, of like, wow, this is really resonating with me, or whatever the feedback is. And then sometimes it'll swirl around in my mind and it'll engage some fears, and I'll think, are they judging me for this? Or And I think also because I don't fully understand how the energy dynamics are working out here, because this process is a little bit new to me too. Like, I've done readings in the past professionally, but it was always one-on-one. It was never like a group reading with collective consciousness coming in. So I'm still kind of navigating this, and still kind of blows my mind that people resonate with the readings, even though I've watched readers and I think that really resonates. Like, that's really true for me. So I'm still navigating how this works, and I still have my mind blown that other people are really resonating. And then it brings up fears of like, if they don't really understand the work or what I'm about or what I do, like what judgments might they be making about me or this process, or, like, I worry about that sometimes. It's just this fear. I think as you sort of navigate new territory, right? It's not like this has never been done before, but it's new for me. And a lot of it is just honoring how the energy wants to come in, how the information wants to flow, what is stirred up in my mind, and what associations I have. And that's really how the intuition process works for me. Things come into my mind's eye. They might be symbols. They might be something that has to do with me and my experience. And then it comes out and it's something other people can resonate with too. So it's always images, symbols, sometimes just words. But I always think, I think in the past I've had people expect a lot, and my fears of not good enough probably had to do with that, where I would have fears triggered that I wasn't enough, I wasn't good enough, and I'd have this imposter syndrome. So maybe that's coming up for you too, where there's some anxiety. It can be a growing pain, right? Where our dreams can be coming true. Maybe our dreams coming true and our fears get engaged. Like, am I prepared for this? Am I ready for this? Right? And while we're meeting all the resistance internally, right? We're breaking down that resistance to come into a greater state of flow and allowing it to take shape in the material world. Maybe we can laugh about this together. Maybe that's why humor is coming up, that this can be a very human experience of just doubting yourself. And maybe being too concerned with how others see you or feel about you. Empaths can especially have that tendency because we have to deal with the psychic tension, right? And the energy, the aftermath, if someone can't manage their own emotions. So particularly if we have the empath wound that we haven't healed, which is about discerning, which is about strengthening filters and boundaries around other people's emotions, energies, agendas, things like that. So if we're still navigating that, and we're still navigating empowerment in that way, we might still have a vested interest in pleasing and concerning ourselves a little too much with how others see us and their opinions. But it's also what helps us build trust. So, because other people can feel we care. But know that if you have this big dream and you're starting to come up against fears and resistance, know that that's a growing pain and that they're coming up for you to navigate through and to heal. And to just be aware that we just work through this fear now, right? We're just being navigated here to look at this. Let's look at this. Let's shine a light here. Let's work through this thought loop, right? How accurate is this? And maybe talk ourselves through it, right? That can be another reason why talking to ourselves came up. Doing a little comedy routine around it. Or even telling someone off, like in our imagination, right? I've done that a lot, right? With a perceived attack or something, right? Like, doesn't even have to be real, but it can be a fear. It can be a real fear. Well, what if someone comes to me and they say this, or what if someone types this, and then just playing it out. Go with it. So yeah, what does happen if that happens? Do you have a plan? Are you prepared for that? Right? Because it could be just staying in the loop if we don't address it, if we don't follow it. Fears tend to stay in that loop, right? And then they just keep coming back around. So can you follow it out and kind of rehearse what you're going to do? And maybe put some humor in there. Put a little dose of humor in there. Explore your options. It's time to look at other possibilities. It's a good time to make changes. So changes are happening, right? And with change, with growth, that means letting go. That means leaving some aspects of self behind, right? Or releasing some patterns, or changing some structure. And that can be scary. It can feel like, it says, walk away from this situation in order to resolve it. So maybe taking some space to see the bigger picture too. Seeing it from an expanded point of view, right? Maybe there's some tunnel vision here as well, which is why we need to wait as we sort of expand our vision back out. Because sometimes when we're in the winter season, it's similar to kind of being in the basement, right? And we can't see what all is happening in our environment. We're just kind of in the dark here. We can't see from a higher perspective. So we don't really want to make decisions from that point. We just sort of have to be present there and listen, right? Listen to what this time is for. And let's look at what aspect of self wants to take the spotlight here. Winter can also be, in a spiritual season of life, cocooning. In the cocoon. As we grow, as we shift, and that can be painful. As we prepare for this celebration, this evolution. Can you see how those painful times in life, some of them you can look back and laugh, like there's like this fine line between pain and humor. Not always, but it's not always the case, but sometimes I look back at times where I was either terrified or really hurting, and I can see the funny aspects in it. And it really helps me heal if I can laugh at it. I can't always do that. But when I can, I know that I'm healing. I'm transmuting. I'm using it as fertile soil, right? So what aspect of self wants to take the spotlight? To tell us about humor, about this time of waiting or coming out of this dark period. Networker. Networker. The light attributes enhances unity through the sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy. The shadow attributes conveys information only for personal gain, spreads fear and falsehood. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of fear-mongering out there. I experienced that a lot when I came into the spiritual community in New York City. I really didn't know a lot. I gave other people more power. I thought they were more powerful, I guess, than they actually are. I didn't understand the limitations as a human. And I didn't own my own power. So everything scared me. Everything scared me. I thought people were reading my mind. And I was just this big target at this metaphysical bookstore. So I had to navigate a lot of psychic attack and energetic vampirism, things like that. I had to navigate that. I had to learn better boundaries, how to heal myself. It was like boot camp. It was really learning to walk my talk in the spiritual world because everything scared me. I was so afraid. I really let other people's opinions and perspectives weigh too heavy, even when they didn't resonate. I would listen to readers in any modality. I would listen sometimes blindly to what they were telling me, and I thought they knew better than I did, right? I let that navigate me instead of my inner knowing. Which is why for these readings, it's about allowing what resonates to resonate, and whatever allows you to open. If something illuminates a part of your brain, if information that comes in through the reading illuminates part of your brain, or you resonate with it, or you say, well, that's what I'm going through right now. I really feel this. I really resonate with this. Owning that, but no, it's your inner knowing. It's not me, right? Not giving me more power than you for your own inner knowing, right? That's out of order. This is why any reading can be helpful if you know yourself, right? Because also knowing what doesn't resonate is helpful too, to say, no, that I don't feel that part. Because I've never had a reader, and I've worked with amazing psychics and mediums, and not all of their information applied or felt right. And I had to trust that. I had to own that. Right? Otherwise, if I followed blindly, my life would be very different right now. I don't know if it would be better, if it would be different for better or for worse, but I know that sometimes it created a lot of suffering because it was kind of like the message that I should have done something differently, or things should be different now than what they are. Anytime we believe that, it creates so much suffering, right? I do hope that that's never my message. If I ever say that or make that seem the case, I believe that can be harmful. So it's not about looking back and saying, well, I shouldn't have had this broken bond, right? It's not about looking back and saying my parents should have done this better, or my circumstances should have been like this, because I don't believe that's helpful. How is that helpful? I think that looking back and saying this can be a source of pain, and this can be the wound that we're compensating for. And if we just go back and shine some light and heal this core wound, well, that's very possible. So then we're back into this state of wholeness and power. And but if we look back and just say, well, it should have been different, well, that means we have no power. And we take away our power in this moment to shift it. And I think that's what fear-mongering is all about too, is creating more fear than is necessary. I mean, if you understood your own power and your connection to a higher power, what would there really be to fear? I mean, we can navigate almost anything with that sense, right? That we're connected, that we are actually infinite. And this is meant to be a limited experience here on the earth plane. But with so much potential. So what do we want to create here? Enhancing unity, networker, enhancing unity through the sharing of information, engender social awareness and empathy. And I believe that's part of my calling in doing this work, is creating some form of community here where, you know, there's resonance, there's connection, there's acceptance, where you don't feel so alone, that other people are navigating this too. And that's what, you know, tuning into the collective consciousness can help with, is other people are going through this too. You're not all alone. Like, other people are experiencing the winter season too, right? Other people are navigating this too. And we're stronger together. Some people have more, are more comfortable reaching out to others for help than other people. And I think those of us who resonate as giver or healer or rescuer, whatever it is, I think it's harder for us to seek help, to ask for support, or to even feel supported. It's just, when you feel like a little out of whack there, where you feel more responsibility for others, or that the starting point isn't quite that you're worthy enough to be here, you know, when there's worthiness issues in question, it's harder to receive support. It's harder to feel worthy to receive. And that might be part of the learning curve here. Because networking can feel heavy when we're only giving, right? Because then it's like, well, now I'm just accumulating more responsibility. But And it's okay to have a learning curve around receiving gracefully, receiving well. That's come up a lot on this channel too. It's part of my learning curve too. It's part of my learning experiences. I thought I could just give and give and give. That's not sustainable, you know? So learning to navigate that and be a more graceful receiver. Do we have a mentor around that? Like, can you think of someone in your life? For me, it's my Aunt Liz. I talked about her on this channel before. Great at receiving. And then I have those people that teach me by contrast, right? Where I've given to them and it feels terrible. Usually they're people that don't feel worthy of receiving. So they have a hard time accepting. Interesting birthday, right? Interesting that birthday's coming up around that, because thinking of giving gifts to certain people, and some people it's like a Jedi mind trick. I said before, like, they make you feel amazing. Like you've just received something and you just gave them a gift. It's just like you never want to stop giving to that person. And then there are some people that kind of don't know how to receive well. So they make it a painful process for you to even give them anything. And then they wonder why no one's supporting them. And they don't see their accountability there. Could it be something to look at? Are you a graceful receiver? Do you find pleasure in receiving? If not, it might be part of the learning curve, right? It might be something to look at here. Can you find more pleasure in receiving? And not be like hot potato, where it's like, oh, great, now I owe you. Well, what if it could just be, thank you. You're so thoughtful. This is beautiful, or whatever, right? And can you find a mentor around that if you don't have someone in mind? We can find a mentor for anything, right? If we have a big dream, chances are your family of origin didn't provide you with all the tools and all the modeling needed. So particularly if you're going outside of your, the ancestral patterning for a new career path or a new life purpose that hasn't been done before, that can feel scary. And we have to walk through some intense emotions around that, right? But we can do it. It's manageable. It's possible. People do it all the time. They walk through it, right? It might be harder on the sensitive system, so that might be why we procrastinate and we're cautious. What can help is finding mentors that are already doing it. So get your lineup together, right? Have your group, your community, even if it's in your mind, resources, feeling resourceful, feeling like you have resources. It's a mental state. It's an internal state. So if you're in the winter and you're not able to quite recognize that, maybe create a vision board around who you look up to, your mentors, the kind of career you'd like to have, who's fulfilling a purpose similar to yours, and they're doing it so gracefully. And they have a lot of support, right? They know how to receive support. That might be an important element to look into. They own their power, so they don't have to yell and bark orders, right? They know their power, so they don't have to yell and bark orders. I was cut off, so I don't know where it cut off, but they don't have to, but they also don't shrivel up. They just own their power, and they're able to draw people in. And is that something we're learning too? I just imagine, maybe it's this environmentalist thing in combination with humor. Big dream, explore your options, listen. I get this feeling like maybe we're writing something here, writing a speech or a script or a book. Or a memoir, right? Maybe birthday, because it has to do with you and celebrating your life. Maybe you have so many stories. You're just collecting stories from your path. Maybe it's a goal of yours by your next birthday or whatever it is to have this collection of works and maybe get it published or have your own show, right? Whatever it is. Or to deliver a really poignant speech, like a TED Talk or something, or to just start putting your message out there more, like Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube videos, right? Maybe it's just about going inside and really clarifying. Let's go to the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti and see what else we're looking at when it comes to using humor to deliver our message, make it a part of actualizing our big dream. How does that want to come into play? How does that want to manifest? Can it help us expand our view? See a bigger picture, because we might be in the basement right now. I wonder why we don't have a higher perspective on this. Well, sometimes we're just in the basement, and that's how life goes, right? Sometimes we have to do the foundational work, and that's clearing out some shadow stuff, working with the shadow, working through fears, working through negative associations, childhood wounding. Sometimes we're in the basement, laying the foundation. So we're not going to have a higher perspective. So don't make decisions from that place, right? We're exploring, right? We're exploring our options, but we're not deciding. There's a difference, right? We're exploring, and part of that exploring is getting in touch and in tune with the shadow, right? We don't want to disown that, because then it has more power. Unconscious power, right? We're working with the unconscious when we're looking at the winter season. In a time of waiting, listening, fine-tuning. You know, getting love and sharing love with animals. There's also something about getting rid of things that aren't sustainable. Something to do with this environmentalist thing is also symbolic about, it might be weeding out beliefs. Or breaking up fears and thoughts that have started to crystallize, right? But aren't helping with the sustainability of your purpose, of your dream that you're creating, that you're working towards. Like, what can be used as fertile soil? What mental state can be used as fertile soil to plant seeds of intent? Right? Because it's very similar to gardening, the manifestation process. What's a fertile mental state to plant seeds and nourish them, to sustain the development, the growth, your spiritual growth, the growth of your manifestation, your purpose? And what's getting in the way of that? What's harmful to that environment, right? Like, I'm just seeing like plastics, straws, balloons, right? The things that are harmful to that environment, that mental state, can we just take those out, remove those things? We'll do that a little bit with the sound healing. Is there any other cards that want to come out? That might be too many. Too many. Just maybe one or two more. I think I got the picture. So Queen of Pentacles is the first card out. Queen of Pentacles is very nurturing queen, powerful in manifestation in the material world, confident, successful, attracts money and manifests easily. See all the emeralds too. There's a Sun of Success in her pentacle. I believe it's pentacles in this deck. Yeah, I think so. She has a peacock, so she's confident, right? Confident. Really laying foundation. And good at manifesting. So it's going to be important to weed out anything we don't want to manifest here, right? Now we're looking at Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is really independent person. There's a woman in the card, but no matter what the gender, right? There's butterflies for transformation. This is an independent person. Someone who, again, has some luck because there's a little ladybug. If you can see, little ladybug there, has a lot of luck in manifestation, or so that can be like Sagittarius energy or Jupiterian influence, right? Having luck, good fortune in the material plane, and then spiritual growth, right? Coming out of the cocoon as we transform into a butterfly. And the cocooning process is painful, right? There's a dissolution, right? The caterpillar that goes into the cocoon is dissolving. And it's not an easy, fun process. It can be painful, but how can we make it more pleasurable by finding humor, finding ways to laugh, reasons to laugh as we transform? She has a bird. There are two birds, right? There's a peacock in this image, right? Which aligns with the environmentalist card about animals. And then she has a bird with a mask on it. There's like a mask with feathers there. The butterfly is the ladybug, and that's a garden, right? She's in a garden. There's this idea of empowerment with this card. And She's looking up at the bird that's perched on her hand. Which might be a vision, right? A vision of whatever a bird might symbolize to you, like freedom, higher perspective. But there's a mask on this bird, so it's kind of an unknown too. It's unfamiliar territory, maybe. So there's a vision of it, or a dream, or an idea of it. And this might be your big dream, right? To have more freedom. I only say that because the depiction of this card is that she's looking up to this bird. And when you think about that physiologically, that's a vision of something, right? Looking up. And this bird might represent freedom, might represent higher perspective, because maybe she's so in tune with the physical plane that she can feel constricted. So medicine for her might be going up to envision something even better. And then partnerships coming up, 2 of Cups. This is usually an emotional connection, an emotional bond, an emotional partnership. It's 2, oh no, that is a man. I was going to say it's 2 women in this card, but I think that one's a man and one is a woman. They don't look terribly romantic. And I do have a sense that this might be partnership in another sense of the word, maybe communion with friends, right? Like close bonds and friendship, or even business partnership. Although this is Cups, so there is an emotional investment here. It can be building trust. By going through this phase of isolation, right? This alone time, as we gain this perspective, this sense of independence and freedom, maybe that will give us good foundation for building partnership, right? When you think about the root chakra is the first chakra to develop, and it resonates with the earth. So maybe there is something about healing our relationship to Mother Earth, environmentalist. So maybe there is something about healing our relationship to Mother Earth, and that being represented, relationship with Mother has everything to do with that. Our relationship to our hometown, right? Did we feel rejected? Did that create some inner separation? Did that create some conflict internally where we don't feel good enough or that we belong? So healing that rift internally, that sort of inner separation, that feeling that we don't belong, healing that can help inform other relationships as we trust ourselves, as we build trust in ourselves. And that might be why networking's coming up. Maybe networking has just felt like such an obligation because you feel obligated to give so much in every connection, and it's not sustainable. That's something we're navigating, right? Maybe that's something we're navigating. The Temperance card comes up next, and this might be Sagittarius. It is the Sagittarius card. I'm a Sagittarius, and winter season is Sagittarius, right? With the birthday card coming up as well. Temperance. Temperance. So we are balancing something here. There's also 2 cups in this card with a solitary woman. So balancing internally, however you identify, you don't have to identify as woman, however you identify, balancing internally these inner resources so that coming together in partnership of any kind doesn't feel so burdensome, right? Because there isn't this unconscious agreement that I shoulder more of the responsibility, or I feel all the emotions in every connection, or whatever it is, because we're doing the unconscious work, right? The work with the unconscious, the moon. The moon is the thing that's hidden, right? So it's shadow work. It's working within the unconscious, working through fears, navigating through the dark. There is a crab here, and 2 wolves, if they have any significance to you. Yeah, really weeding out. And you see how the moon in the card is also looking up. Inner vision, daydream, visionary. So there might be this vision. And we might be working in the dark right now. We might be in the basement, right? Laying the foundation in the unconscious. That's how it works. So it's not out of order here. There's nothing wrong. Sometimes we're just in the basement, laying the foundation, right? Working on the plumbing, whatever it is. That's important work to do too, and it's worthwhile. But we might be feeling nostalgic. The 6 of Pentacles is coming up. Sometimes this is a nostalgic card. This looks like a balancing. There's scales in here, right? The scales there. So this isn't normally a Libra card, but the scales are there. So you might be resonating with Libra. Normally in the traditional Rider-Waite, I think it's 2 children in the card handing a pentacle, one handing a pentacle to another. So that can be about the past. That can be about childhood. That can be about someone from the past coming back to reinvest. But it can also be about harmonizing, right? The 6 can be about relationship harmony. This can also be about nostalgia, right? Since there are children in the traditional Rider-Waite. So are you having attacks of nostalgia? Or, that sense you have, it's almost like a smell. That might be a little bit of synesthesia on my part, but sometimes nostalgia, you can smell it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes I can smell anxiety too. It's very weird. That might be like synesthesia. But that sensation that you get when you're reminiscing about something that was meaningful to you, or there's still emotional debris around it, and it gives you just this odd sense, right? This odd feeling, this odd sensation of nostalgia. Sometimes it's associated with positive feelings, but for me, there's always a little bit of tension around that. And some sadness looking back. Sometimes like looking back at a very lonely childhood, or just lifetime, right? Where loneliness was a huge part of it, doing a lot of inner work, a lot of internal work, and in the human design system being part hermit. So sometimes that can be hardship I'm working through if nostalgic feelings come up. Working on this empowerment, this feeling good, this feeling independent, and feeling good about that. It's a learning curve sometimes, but I'm a Sagittarius, so can't stay down too long with the Temperance card. Tempering that out. And then finally, King of Swords, right? Master of thoughts in the mental plane, sometimes very detached. Some people have bad association with the King of Swords. Like he's very cutting and harsh sometimes if he's out of balance. But, and we have a Saturn in the background. And Saturn can be, you know, the father. Right when we have our Saturn return, we go through a lot of hardship. Knowing where your Saturn is placed can give you an indication of lessons to be learned in this life, where you might have the biggest learning curve. Maybe you're going through something in that area right now. Do you see Saturn in the back of this card? The rings around it. Maybe that's part of the work we're navigating right now, and it's feeling heavy and dark, but it's worthwhile. We're laying a foundation here for bigger things to come. So it's worthwhile to process this pain and to go through it and to navigate it. It might be carving out a deeper well for you to maintain more resources internally. It might be shedding old stuff. Can we help it along and laugh it off? Can we help it along at all? I know it can be a painful time. It can be a painful time as we navigate this. Let's see what crystal might lend some support. Clear and hydrate. Clear and hydrate. And hydrate. If I'm not mistaken, anhydrite might be another name for angelite. Is that right? Anhydrite. Anhydrite's another name for another stone. I can't quite recall. This is the clear version. Clear anhydrite. Can't quite recall. Might be angelite. I could be wrong. I'll have to look that up. But this card is indicating past life healing, right? Yeah, certainly. If we're working in the unconscious, there's some past life wounding here we might be working through. Past life traumas, persecution, vows. We might need to work through some of this, and that requires cocooning a bit, going inside and listening. Allowing things to shed how they need to be released. Support is also coming up with this card, and strength, right? We might be digging deeper to have more room for resources to come through. More love and light can come through that way. Clear anhydrite. I experience healing in this and all previous lifetimes. Can you feel the healing you do in this lifetime ripple back? Not just in your past lifetimes, but in your ancestral line too. It has an effect, and it ripples forward too into the future. All future generations, your future. It's really worthwhile. You're doing great work. Is it time to look back at some past lifetimes and do some past life work? That's something I offer. Check it out in the description of this video and see if that work calls to you. It's very interesting. You can also just do a meditation on a past life and see what comes up there. It can be helpful to have someone navigate you through. But that might be part of the work you do, just meditating, right, in this time, the winter season, in the spiritual journey and path. And it comes back around, right? We don't just go through it one time. It's part of the path as we go inside and reflect some cocooning, some foundational work, getting, doing some unconscious work, and with the subconscious. Let's see what essential oil from the essential oil cards by Lisa Powers wants to lend its aroma to this reading. Peppermint. This is probably like my favorite oil. Inspire. I love peppermint. Inspire is the key word. The trigger statement is I am stuck. And the true statement is I am filled with possibility. Allow yourself to float up above any thoughts or emotions and see what is needed for you to process them and move forward. Allow yourself to float up above any thoughts or emotions and see what is needed for you to process them and move forward. Right? If you're in the basement right now, maybe inhale some peppermint to get a higher perspective. See, I felt like part of this message was her maybe expanding her vision or tuning into a higher perspective that was currently an unknown. How does this want to process? Peppermint is the oil of the buoyant heart. Brings joy and buoyancy to the heart and soul. It invigorates the body, mind, and spirit, and reminds individuals that life can be happy and they don't have to be controlled by fear. It lifts an individual out of their emotional trials for a short reprieve. When individuals use peppermint, they feel as though they're gliding through life. It assists in staying on the surface of emotional issues, like floating on top of water. The power of peppermint can be felt most in times of discouragement or despair. When individuals are disheartened, they may use peppermint to rediscover the joy of being alive. However, a person may also abuse the properties of peppermint oil if it is used as a permanent escape to avoid dealing with emotional pain. It can hinder growth and progress. Peppermint should not be used in this way. It aids individuals who need a short breather. At times, a reprieve is necessary before re-entering emotional waters, but one is not meant to wade in the shallow forever. When it is accepted and embraced, emotional pain serves as a teacher. Right? Where's that card? Teacher, right? Saturn. Peppermint can assist individuals in regaining the strength needed to face their emotional reality. Right? To come face to face. So if you're experiencing unbearable pain, intense despair, if you're heavy-hearted or pessimistic, peppermint can help us get into a lighthearted state, more buoyant state. Maybe even find the humor in a situation, feel relief for a time, and so you can gather up some strength to keep going. That's always helpful. Let's go to the wisdom cards by Louise Hay. And just know that we all navigate times of uncertainty, right? Scary terrain that we haven't navigated before, especially if we're trying to create something new, a new paradigm. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're learning to trust ourselves, life, right? Other people. We might be in the basement right now. Laying foundations, pulling out unsustainable thoughts, right? Things that are not going to allow us to grow and flourish and thrive. So that might be part of the reason the environmentalist card came out. We're working on fertile ground here. A few cards flew out. These are a little sticky today, sticking together. I'm going to send them some energy. Sometimes that means there's some stagnant energy on there. Just one card to wrap up this reading. I hear funny sounds. I am good enough. I am good enough. I am not restricted by old limiting beliefs from my family or society. I am not restricted by old limiting beliefs from my family or from society. Yeah, can you tune in? I am good enough. You are good enough. Right? You are good enough. This is you. You're more than good enough. You're probably overqualified, right? That's the joke. You're probably overqualified. Yeah, let's weed out this garden so we get to I am good enough. We might have to remind ourselves, right? That's a human fear that we're not good enough and we won't be loved, right? Those are two human fears. Every human goes through it from time to time, at least, right? Some of us live with it and it defines us and controls much of our behavior. It doesn't have to be that way. Can we put it in its place and say, I know, I'm a human. Yep, got it. Yes, I am a human. Every human goes through that. I am good enough. Let's do some sound healing and reflect on whatever wants to come in, whether it be a past life connection, something in this life from the past, things that want to be weeded out. Let's allow their release now to create some fertile ground and fertile soil for whatever wants to come, right? It might be something that we've just hung on to a little too long, a belief or an image of self that's just kind of outdated. Let's break up that patterning so that we can help usher in this new paradigm. Let's help that along a little bit. All right, so go ahead and tune in. Close your eyes and allow it to happen however it wants to happen. Just deep breaths. Combing through the energy field with your breath. Noticing anything stagnant. How does the breath want to dissolve it? Move it through. Good, and just revitalizing the system. Noticing any shifts, how the energy system wants to recalibrate. Were you able to release anything? And plant new seeds of I am good enough. Can you feel that in your heart? One more deep breath. Maybe one more. There we go. Good. So I hope this was healing, helpful. Thanks for taking this journey with me. You never know where it's going to lead, right? We start with one card and see where it goes. I hope that you found some helpful, useful information here, and at least feel like you're not alone. We all navigate these waters, right? If you need some support through my services, my offerings, check out the description. There's more information there. Also, other ways to connect on other social media platforms. And so thank you to my clients, anyone who is donating, to all the new subscribers, new and old subscribers. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you for all who comment about how this reading resonates. And thank you for sharing, to those who might find something useful in these videos. Okay, thank you so much, and much love, many blessings. During this time, can we find the humor? Can we find some way to either make ourselves laugh or others? That's how we transmute. I'll see you in the next reading. Bye, empath.